5,000 RPM. The thing moves, it just gets up and goes. Boom. Look at that, 5,000 RPM. Climbing. So what is going on, Gas Gang? Today is the day. Today we are finally going for a first drive in my 370 brake horsepower, high mileage 335D. Oh man, this is taking too long. But anyway guys, it's about to happen, so stay tuned for this one and let's get it.
Welcome to Officially Gas. Let's get it.
So yes guys, as the intro said, today and finally, yes, we are going for a first drive in my 335D. Now this is like the craziest first drive I've ever done because guys, I've actually had this car for about 3 months now, and I think I had it for about a month before I kind of even introduced it to the channel. I've driven this car many times. I've probably done about 3,000 miles in this car so far. So I'm very at one with the car, which I guess in a way, because I can now give you like what my first impressions were and how I feel now, if that makes sense. I just want to say that obviously we haven't done a first drive, we've done loads of other stuff surrounding this car and trying to get this car to this point, if that makes sense. Go back and check the other videos, kind of cool. One of the videos we did put this on the dyno, and it made 370 brake horsepower. Now when I bought this car, the fella I bought it off did say it had hybrid turbos. I've still got reason to believe this has got hybrid turbos, but everyone else is telling me it's stage 2. I know the power kind of amounts to stage 2, but I think it just might have a mad boost leak or something, but it still pulls like a train. After that we went to BMW. Obviously they kind of condemned the wheels. Yeah, we changed the wheels. A lot of you guys like the wheels, not all of you like the wheels. I understand it, it's kind of a preference thing, but for a daily, for me, it's just subtle and I think it looks nice. So also massive shout out to BC Racing coilovers, because yeah, we fitted that 6 setup, so we got BC Racing coilovers. As far as the mods are concerned on this car engine-wise, I don't really know. I can only go off what the fella told me when I bought it. He did say hybrid turbos, boost pipes, intercooler, a gearbox map. A lot of people have said get a gearbox map on it. This already apparently has a gearbox map on it. DPF delete, I believe, and a good tune. I don't even know who tuned it, but it seems to pull quite nice, if that makes sense. So anyway guys, what I'm not going to do again is talk too much. We're literally just going to hit the road and finally give you my first impressions on this bad boy. Oh yeah, and I think I'm going to stop calling it high mileage. That's why I've done it in the quotes, the air quotes before. So yeah, we'll speak about that on the road. But anyway, let's get into it. So finally, we are out in my 335D. Yes, we are making it happen. The first drive, probably the longest I've ever kept the first drive away from you guys or held it back. I haven't held it back, I've just been doing other stuff. I'm really busy. But I've been meaning to do this forever, but we're finally here. First things first, the revving. I don't think that sounds bad. In fact, I think that sounds sick. Let me know what you think. Obviously, what you're hearing there is it seems to be hitting like a popcorn limiter. And then obviously, I think because it's got like a downpipe on it with no DPF, you're getting a nice whistle too. Bit smoky, but it's a diesel, so I can't complain too much. So anyway guys, what I did say about this car is it does have a gearbox map on it, apparently. So what I'm going to do right now is whack it into sport mode, and the gear changes become really sudden and jerky kind of thing. DCT off, or I don't even know what that means, but basically I think it's kind of a sport mode. I'm going to drive it in manual because I'm finding the only real good way to drive this for a bit more response on the gearbox is driving it in manual. It can be a little bit lazy. Alright guys, so first pull, I'll take it down to second in manual. 3, 2, 1, let's get it. Up to 5,000 RPM, just hit the limiter there. Take it around the corner, be careful. Rear wheel drive and that. It actually does get down. This car actually does get down. It doesn't brake very well, but it does get down. Back on the power. It's quite revvy too for a diesel, man. No. This car does get down. Do you know what's crazy, right? I don't drive this car in anger a lot. As I've said many times, it's a daily. And this car loves to be like cruised, if I'm honest. But it also goes fast quite well. Obviously, this being a twin turbo setup, it's a straight six twin turbo 3 litre. The turbos don't come in together, they're sequential, which basically means there's one that's small and one that's big. The small one picks up, the big one then takes over, and you can really feel the big one come in actually. So what I'll do once again is I'll drop it down to second, on the corner too dangerous. All right. Now, and that's on the limiter again. But you see what I mean? They work well, and still it's quite a smooth power delivery. But going back to it and the bigger turbo taking over with this sequential setup, you can see it on the graph too, because like the graph goes up like this and then it goes whoop again and it goes up, if that makes sense. So you can actually see the other turbo coming in. But it's a quick car. It's a quick car. Right, so going back to me first talking about my first impressions on this car, I'm not gonna lie, when I first bought this car, I thought it was a proper shed. Simply because although it kind of looks clean on camera, or kind of looked clean on camera, you know, you got your parking things, you got this, that, the other, there was a few little bits hanging off it, and it just weren't quite right. And the drive was the most disappointing thing, if I'm honest. I'll be real, I've owned, believe it or not, 3 of these, not 335Ds. I've owned an E92 325D LCI, a 330D LCI convertible, and also an E92 M3, but we won't talk about that. And so this is my 3rd one, right? And from memory, bearing in mind I drove those before I really got into these crazy, well dialed in cars, right? I remembered these as being really dynamic, like, you know, feeling really, I don't know, at the time, dialed in. But when I got in this, man, I couldn't tell what the front end was doing, I couldn't tell what the rear end was doing. It was floaty, it was all over the place. And then I found out when I went to BMW to get the health check that this had actually had aftermarket, not coilovers, but basically suspension fitted. And it was OEM suspension, but fake OEM. I think it was Satch or something like that, like, you know what I mean? And it was really soft. It was either the spring rate was terrible or it was the shock absorber, so it used to bounce all over the place. But guys, I'm telling you now, after fitting the BCs, different car. It's actually back to how I remembered it. And it's all right. So what we're gonna do is hit some twisties and see how it handles. I'm gonna drive it in manual too, so let's get it. Second gear, foot down, second turbo coming in now. 5,000 RPM, we're moving. Woo, 5,000 RPM, a bit more. Woo. Now the brakes I don't think match the power on this. Drop it down a cog. But the ride is much more compliant. I think the spring rate's a lot better. Short shifted there. But the car, guys, the car gets down. The car definitely gets down. And what I'm trying to kind of put across too is this ain't, you know what I mean? This is a daily, like, it's not a race car, but look at that. Woo! You know what I mean? I'm not sure what it sounds like to you guys, but we're not getting much exhaust noise. It kind of, when you're on it, it does sound like a diesel, and I guess that's why I love petrol, because, you know, it's everything. You get the impression of moving fast sometimes through how a car sounds, and this don't give you a lot of sound, but you're just moving, and the torque makes up for it, I guess. So, second gear, 5,000 RPM. Yeah, I can't complain. So what I'm gonna do now, I thought I'd just let like the car change gear for itself in sport mode, right? So go down to the first gear, from a bit of a start, see how it gets on. Jeez, it's taking it over 5,000 RPM. The thing moves, it just gets up and goes. Woohoo! It's mad, it makes it a little bit scary because the brakes ain't all that, but around the corner, back on it. I feel, yeah, it wets. See, letting the car change gear itself, that's where I feel like it lets it down. Coming off that long corner there and putting my foot back down again, I feel it should have dropped a cog, but it didn't. It just stayed on power, and it, you know what I mean? It slowed things down. But again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning, if you're going to drive these cars fast, I feel like it has to be in sport mode and drive it in manual to get the best out of it, if that makes sense. But it's still a weapon. And they're coming down in price too. You got to remember that, right? 5 years ago, when I owned like my 330D, these 335Ds were like going for like 20 odd grand. like 20 grand plus, especially LCI, right? Now, in fact, if you don't know, I picked this up for under 6.5 grand. And going back to the high mileage talk, it's done 150,000 miles, but I've offended so many people by saying this is high mileage. I'm gonna stop saying it. And I kind of know, I come from a diesel background, being a diesel fitter in a past life, shall we say. But I still think it's up there with the mileage. I know these are going to 250,000, depends how you look after a car, right? But I think for you guys' sake, I'm gonna stop calling it high mileage. But anyway, enough jibber jabber. Drop it down. First gear, manual. Let's get it. Boom. Look at that. 5,000 RPM. Climbing. This thing really does pull like a train. There's no let off. There's no let off. Literally, once that turbo is spooled up, the big turbo is spooled up, we're on it. We just go, go, go. It's a Mazda. Drop a cog into second, manual. Big turbo coming in, all the way to 5,000 RPM. Yeah, this moves. Close the window. Car is very compliant. The brakes are alright. They're not great, but they're alright. Yeah. This flies. Alright, I'll be real with you, yeah? Obviously, my kind of opinion of fast cars is skewed, but when we're talking about fast cars that you're going to meet on the road, I don't think you're going to meet a lot of cars on day to day that are going to be able to hold it with you in this. I know that's a bold statement because there's a lot of boy racers out there with fast cars, but how often, think about it, how often are you pulling up next to that boy racer with a 500 brake horsepower Golf R or whatever he's got on a day-to-day basis? You're not. You know what I mean? Yes, guys, it is that time. We're going to run a gassed up 0 to 60 on the 335D, the 370 brake horsepower 335D. Now, it's rear wheel drive. I've complained in the past about this not being able to put power down, but today it's putting power down. Rear wheel drive, new tyres on it, dry day, should be interesting. I reckon the way it's hooking up today, it feels definitely sub sixes. I'm going to guesstimate 5.2-ish, and what I'll do, not that I think it will matter because as I say, it's hooking up, I'm going to do a run with traction control on and traction control off and see what we get, and yeah, just go for it. So place your bets. But before we actually get into it, if you want to know what we're using, it's a VBOX Performance Spots Touch by Race Logic, a great bit of kit. We sell them on the OG merch shop, actually the cheapest RRP in the world. That is no gas, but on top of that, we're now giving you a chance to win one of these. So shout out to Level Up Giveaways. For 99p you could win one of these bad boys. An amazing bit of kit. They've just had a whole software update. It was sick before, now it's even sicker. Amazing track tool. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so first attempt, traction control on, sport mode, and we're just going to plant it. Do you know what? I'm going to try and brake boost it a little bit, actually. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. And that's 60. What the hell? That didn't even feel that fast, and we just hit a 4.87. A 4.87. That's what I mean about this car. It's a cruiser. Don't get me wrong, it's torquey, but the way it delivers, like, sometimes you don't feel like you're going that fast, but we just run a sub 5 in my daily at 370 brake horsepower. What I think we're going to do is run one more of these, traction control off. I don't think it's going to make a difference, and see if we can beat that. But sub 5s, I'm happy with that already. I weren't expecting it. All right, guys, so second and final attempt, traction control completely off. Let's see if it makes a difference. I'm going to give it a bit of brake boosting. Hopefully we don't end up in a bush. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Good, good. That felt strong. What the hell was that? A 4.31. Hey, come on. A 4.31. I'm done. 4.31. 150,000 on the clock. 6.5 grand. 38 to the gallon. Rear wheel drive. 4.31. Tell me your thoughts. I'm not going to put it on the leaderboard because it's just me in the car. It wouldn't be fair. But I mean, look, come on. That's ranking high if it was on the leaderboard. Let me know your thoughts. Come on. I'm gassed with that. I'm gassed with that. Alright, guys, so I think we're going to round the video up here and end it. But before I go, what I want to say is, like, you know, when it comes to diesels, and diesels get a lot of hate for all different reasons, in Summer Valley, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, the pollution is a madness. But diesels is a dying breed. it's a dying breed. But in my opinion, to go fast, it's not bad. Like, you know what I mean? Don't rule it out. Like, this for me is only a daily with to have a little bit of fun, make a little bit of content on. But for someone who's looking for an all-rounder, as long as you're not like in London with the low emission zones, or I know eventually they're going to bring it in everywhere. But trust me, don't overlook these cars, especially the newer F series with the 4-wheel drive. This is hooking up today, being rear-wheel drive. But a 4-wheel drive, one of these, even more tunable from what I'm hearing, it's got to be the ultimate daily. If you're talking MPG, you're talking about all weathers, and you're talking about speed. I definitely think you can't overlook them. And also with this car, now I've bought this car, at the moment we know it's 370 brake. Don't take any credit for what's being done under the bonnet. To tell the truth, I don't really know what's being done under the bonnet. But what I think now is, look, I think we got to get this to 500 brake horsepower. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I think I know how I'm going to do it, but I don't know who I'm doing it with yet. If it was stock, I don't know if I'll be pushing it that far, because I know it's a daily. But look, with 370 brake, I think we've got hybrid turbos. I'm not sure. Be interesting to find out. But look, with this far now, we might as well just sprinkle a little bit more on it and hit the 500. Let me know what you're thinking. Guys, also let me know your thoughts with the diesel, innit? Let me know your thoughts on the 335D. There comes the petrol light, the diesel light, should I say. But it's only just come on, like, you know what I mean? I've probably done about 500 miles on this tank. But anyway, guys, listen, we're gonna end the video here. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've finally done it, the first drive on the 335D. Very impressive in my books. Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one, yeah? Peace out.